good, everybody? It's John coming back at you on another video. With this video, I wanted to talk about the importance of being kind to yourself, right? Of course, at all times, but particularly during your growth phase, during a phase of transition, during a phase of you doing something new, whether that's learning something, whether that's, you know, getting adjusted to a new environment, a new position, a new scenario, right? Just the importance of being kind to yourself. And I can use an example about myself, right? Before I jump into that example, I wanted this to be the video because I see it from time to time that people have a tendency to be hard on themselves. And I understand that we may have the tendency of wanting to be perfectionists, right? Of wanting things to come out perfect or to want to be perceived as a fast learner, where it's like you can pick things up right away. Now, I just need you to understand that not everything in life you'll be able to pick up on it immediately, right? Like right this second, because there are certain things that will just take time and you have to accept that. And that's okay, right? It doesn't mean that you're a slow learner. It doesn't mean that you're incapable of learning. Just appreciate your journey and the time that it takes for you to figure it out because everyone is different, right? And it can be that someone learns something faster than you, but it could be that they learn that thing faster because they're could be more familiar with the material. Say this is like you're in a classroom and you're struggling with a particular subject, but it feels like someone else picks up on it quicker, right? You don't know if that person, if the subject matter that you're learning, that could be that person's favorite subject, or that person has much more of a background or knowledge in this field than you. And so you can be looking at that person thinking to yourself, wow, it's so easy for them and it's not for me and I'm a slow learner, and beat up on yourself when you don't need to do that, right? You're gonna learn at your own pace and that's okay, right? You should still be kind to yourself, nice to yourself, and supportive to yourself, right? And I want to use an example for myself because I remember one of the earliest positions I was able to work was in data. And as a kid, I was always good at math. Like growing up, elementary school, middle school, math was my favorite subject. Not going into high school, probably not so much. Um, but nonetheless, I was still good with numbers. And in college, you know, uh, I took classes. I took a math class in college, but I also took like accounting classes and managerial accounting. So I took at least 2 or 3 accounting classes when I was there, right, as part of the curriculum. Um, so I've always been comfortable with numbers, and of course, being a data company, right, like you'll work with numbers often, right? Like that was the criteria for the role. Um, and I remember like the first week there so vividly because we were in on a complete different floor. Basically, my team had like we were a super small team, but our team had like our own floor, like our own section in this own floor that like no one else went to. So we were kind of like in the corner, like isolated from the rest of the company. And I remember, you know, being taught certain things like on the first day, right? Because eventually I would like being taught by my colleague because eventually I would be doing the same type of work as my colleague there. And I remember he would teach me a few things and then he challenged me and said, okay, go try this on your own. And of course, given that it was my first day there, right? I gave it a try. And obviously I was struggling and I was sort of beating myself up because I'm like, dang, he just showed me this. Why am I forgetting? Why am I not like figuring this out? Right? Like I should be able to figure it out. And so those were the thoughts that was going through my head. And he could see that I was like frustrated. And he was like, hey, listen, like it's all right. Like just know that for me to learn this to be where I'm at now, it took me several months, at least 3 to 4 months, to like begin getting into the flow of things. So I told myself like 3 to 4 months, like no way. But I took his word for it because I'm like, okay, well, if that's how much time it took you, then that can be a fair benchmark for me to use to get there. And of course, being the person that I am of just wanting to do well and succeed at all times, it can at times be tough pill to swallow, or a challenge to want to be good or exceptional right away. Um, Without taking into consideration that it does take time, right? Like you have to understand that some things you have to see it and, you know, witness it and repeat it over and over and over and over so that it can be ingrained, right? So you're not no longer thinking, actively having to think about each step, but then it becomes automatic. That's how you learn everything, right? That's how people learn how to play instruments. That's how, for the musicians out there, if you know how to play an instrument, it's because you've played it so long that now you have the muscle memory in your fingers and your hands and everything to be able to play the instrument even with your eyes closed, right? Like, and that came over time. You're not going to see someone pick up an instrument for the first time and play as well as someone who's played the instrument for many years of their lives, right? Like that's not a thing. um and that's the way you need to see it, because if you beat yourself up, it's not helping you, right? If anything, is making you feel worse and you're getting frustrated, and then you start to believe that you start to doubt or worry whether or not you'll pick it up. Excuse me. And worrying is just an interesting thing, right? Because worrying is like, worrying is literally just using your imagination negatively, right? That's what it is, because you're thinking about all of the wrong possible scenarios that can happen, right? So worrying is interesting because a lot of times we spend so much time worrying, but it's like, why would that matter? Just put one foot in front of the other and just see what the outcome will be, right? And more often than not, things will work out for us. We will learn, right? Things will be okay, right? So we just have to put one foot in front of the other and spend less time worrying or concerning ourselves. But anyways, it's just during the process, during the learning process, during the growth process, just be conscious of, because remember, you're supposed to be your number one cheerleader. You're supposed to be your number one, your best supporter, because you can guarantee you will have yourself your whole life. So you can you have the option to essentially be in your own corner or not, right? And there's instances where people go against themselves, beat themselves up if they don't pick up information or something right away. Sometimes things take time, and that's okay, right? So be kind to yourself during that process, right? If say, for example, you have a goal that you want to improve as a person, right? That you want to change your personality for your better, or your outlook on life for the better, right? And you're reading books, you're reading self-help books, development books, things like that. You can come across a new concept and it can make sense the moment that you read it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the change is going to happen on the spot or overnight, right? Like it will also be a gradual process, because you need to understand that if you're trying to change your personality and your mentality for the better, it's very well possible that you've had the same mentality or the same personality since birth to now. So that could be 10, 20, 30 years or more of you operating a certain way, and now you're trying to reverse that and change and become a new person, a better person for the future. That's a lot of decades of conditioning by your environment, by the people around you, friends, family, right? That you have to reverse, right? And so something like that, it's okay if it doesn't happen overnight, but as long as you continue trending in the right direction, that's what matters, right? And so in life is a journey. Life is an ongoing journey. You're always going to be a journeyman in life, because you can want some things, you can have goals, you can have dreams, and then when you accomplish those things, you're going to be in that new position, and then from that new position, you're going to have a different vantage point, different perspective, and then you're going to have new goals and new dreams that you set from that new position, right? So say you're at point A and the goal is to get to point B. When you get to point B, you're going to have new goals from being at point B, because you would want to go to point C. So then the journey continues again, right? So you're always going to be transitioning. You're always going to be growing as a person. You're always going to be looking to get better. You're always going to be trying new things. Like that is the joy of life, to always continue experiencing new things, to continue learning more about yourself, to continue growing as a person. And I probably said it, but learning new things as well, right? Like we're always learning new things. We never stop learning as humans, right? So you're always going to be in a growth phase. And so this is why it's important for you to get comfortable being here, to be comfortable being a journeyman, right? And be kind to yourself, because sometimes it can be hard to focus on, say there's like a task at hand or something you got to do, but you're also dealing with real world like issues with like family back home, like things that are more important than your work or school, things like that, right? Like it happens. And it's like it will be hard for you to focus on what you have in front of you. You have other things going on that's clouding your mind, right? So life happens. I understand life happens. That's why I need you guys to remember that, like, just be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself. You're always going to be a newbie at something, and you will always find an expert on this planet at that thing that you're getting started on. If I were to try to play instruments, I would be a newbie, and I could beat myself up and say, hey, why am I not Alicia Keys with the piano? Because I just started and she played her whole life. But me, when it comes to video games, I've played video games since a kid. I'm pretty good at video games, right? It's like someone can be getting started on playing video games, and then they'll look at me and think, oh, well, Joel is just naturally gifted. It's like, that could be one of the reasons, but the other reasons, right, I've done it so long, right? So when it comes to life, there's going to be, of course, things that you're good at, but there's always going to be new things that you're trying, new things that you're getting started. You're always going to be, your environment is always going to continue changing. You're always going to be growing as a person, right? Getting older, going into different phases of your life, right? So there's always going to be a growth phase in some area of your life. And throughout that journey, there's going to be change. There might be times where you're uncomfortable. There might be times where you want to learn something, you want to pick things up right away, and it may not happen. That's okay. Just be nice to yourself throughout the way, because it doesn't cost you anything to be nice to yourself. It doesn't cost you anything to be supportive of yourself. And that's what's most important, because you need to believe that you're great. You need to believe that you're capable. And having that mentality is what will allow you to succeed in all areas of your life. And, that's why we're here. We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy this. And so just be your own best supporter. Be in your corner at all times, and stop all the negative self-talk. Continue saying nice things about yourself, and just know that you'll pick up on things and you'll learn things in due time, right? It may take a little bit of time, but that's okay. What's most important is for you to get there, and you will get there with time, right? We have time. Trust me, we have time. Things are okay. Things are moving at the speed that it should, right? We're smooth sailing, and let's just do our part to enjoy this journey while we're here. So that rest of the video. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like and subscribe, as we are on the road to 100 subscribers. So I would want you guys to be on that journey with me. It's the next big milestone. So we'll see you guys. It's Joel, and I'm out. See you guys for the next video.